The lies your government tells you. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, the 29th of September, as we start heading and get ready for the fourth quarter. And it's been kind of quiet around the markets, although a little bit higher once again, making new highs, but we'll get to that in our market report. And, again, it's the lies our government tells us, and they continue. And we can start with in 2022, Kamala Harris, or Comrade Kamala Harris, said that the border was secure. Well, as it turns out, yesterday, she said that she will secure the border in this election. So which happens to be fact, okay? So let's talk about fact checking and all the bullshit that we have to deal with in this election. And again, I am not saying that President Trump is a saint. I am just stating out the obvious. And of course, we had on Friday, we had a GDP number that was bigger than expected, and it was all bullshit because it was correlated back to the GDI. And of course, when we look at the overall picture, it's all a play of numbers, okay? Remember, numbers don't lie. The people who report them do. And that goes for Republicans or Democrats. I don't give a shit who you talk about. They all lie about it, and they want to make it look better. And of course, we're getting this entire look from the administration now, okay? And of course, they're making it seem like the economy's in better shape. But I am here to tell you that the middle class is not in better shape, has not been in better shape, and is getting destroyed. And they're getting destroyed in the name of globalism, okay? Because we're seeing it happening globally. It's not just what's happening here. And hopefully, people will be smart enough to realize that you cannot keep spending money you don't have and keep taking out, okay, and having an imbecile running the Federal Reserve, okay? Because again, remember, the Federal Reserve is a cartel, okay? The Federal Reserve does not have your interest at heart. The Federal Cartel has the bank's interest at heart, okay? That's who started it. That's who runs it. And the rate cut, just so to speak, that they made last week, about 10 days ago, okay? Now, what has happened to interest rates since the rate cut? Oh, they've gone up every single day. If you do not know this or do not realize this, the Fed fund rate is not benefit you, the American citizen. Okay, it benefits the banks, because if you don't understand banking, banks borrow money from the Federal Reserve, okay, and they can lend out, okay, and the difference is they make their money on the spread between what they borrow from and what they loan out at, okay. So with the huge demand for money because everybody's in trouble and needs to borrow, do you think that the bank are going to actually bring down interest rates? They have gone up every day. They've gone up 8 days in a row since the Federal Reserve is cut. Mortgage rates have gone higher. So where is the benefit for you, the American people? Okay, and me, the American people. And of course, not only does that damage, but of course, this rate hike has started to increase inflation. If you haven't watched the commodity market starting to rise, which means you'll be paying more at the grocery store once again. But of course, that was the plan, because the plan is they cannot try to tax you legally through before an election. They're not going to say, well, we're raising taxes. So what's the easiest way to fill the federal government coffers once again? Is to have inflation spike once again, which then creates more federal tax on goods and services that you use, which you have no choice. And when's the last time you looked at a bill and saw the federal tax on the bottom of the bill? So at the end of the day, this is a total scam meant to make you think one thing when they're actually doing something else, okay? And furthermore, on the government side of the issue, Speaker Johnson should be removed from office, okay? He's an imbecile, okay, that refused to shut the government down. So once again, we have another emergency funding of the government. As far as I'm concerned, they should shut it down, okay? The government wasn't meant to be at the size it is anyways. And we've said this many times before, but I'm going to repeat it for those who didn't listen the first time. Government is supposed to be run city, county, state, okay? And the federal government is supposed to be the overseer, not the largest employer in the world. And of course, we continue to have these issues with illegal immigration, as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have let in 652,000 illegals that were non-citizens, that were criminals, okay, according to ICE. Now, that's a federal agency. So again, it's not my opinion. According to ICE, okay, they have let in 652,000 criminals, okay, 13,000 of them are murderers, okay, but yet they're running around free in the United States of America because we don't understand what's going on here. You're paying for them, okay? You're paying for every one of them, okay? You're paying a piece of it from the EBT cards that they get, and now you have this marvelous plan from Kamala Harris, okay, who wants to give $25,000 to first-time homeowners. And there's a couple of caveats in there. You could never have owned a home. Your family couldn't have owned a home. And now they want to give you a first-time home buyer. So who does that benefit? Oh, it benefits the illegal aliens. Okay. I mean, again, I think that the legitimacy of the legal system in this country is severely been tarnished by their continuous attempt to go over President Trump. And by the way, if Kamala was so determined, it was so automatic to win the election, why do they keep trying to assassinate Trump? And if you don't think that there's some of the agencies aren't in on part of this, I don't know. I think I'd have to wonder, because if you want to go back to the January 6th in 2020 and talk about how bad that was, well, as it turns out, documents came out last week their transcripts show that President Trump directed the Pentagon leadership to keep January 6th safe, and they were deliberately ignored. Now, again, I'm not going to say that's fact. They were deliberately ignored, but from what I've read and what I'd known all along, there's always more to the story. So again, listen, I'm not defending either side of the aisle. If it were up to me, I'd like to see them all gone, have term limits, and make the maximum age that you could serve in at 55. But again, that's a story for another day. We have seen North Carolina finally, a state that stepped up. They just purged their voter rolls and purged 750,000 people off of their voter rolls. And by the way, 290,000 were duplicates, and 130,000 were dead. It sounds like Chicago. It sounds like the voting in the Daley era. Okay, but I mean, we get ridiculous answers from Harris on her costs and on her economic plan. How are you going to stop and fix pricing? We know we can obviously see that prices cannot be fixed, and all the government is doing is freeing up more for the black market, for the criminal market, and for everything else. Okay, you cannot force and tell people what to pay or charge. Okay, there's competition, but of course, if they get their way and we become a socialism or a communistic country, which is where we're headed to, then you won't have a choice. And you will be paying more for everything, because when you wipe out all the competition and take out everything, okay? And why do you think that the big supporters of this election are the big billionaires? Okay, do you think they're there because they want to take care of you? They're there because it protects them. Okay, the more money you have, the more you favor communism or socialism. Okay, because it doesn't affect you. It helps you. It makes you stronger. Okay. But in the meantime, as we talked about the illegal immigration, and of course, Harris in 2022 said that the border is safe. Now she says she's going to make it safe. Again, the real question has to come back to, she's been in office 3.5 years with President Biden. Why is none of these things done that she's saying she's going to do? And of course, it's amazing how we blame Trump for the border issue. Okay. You know, if you want to really understand facts of this whole thing, the laws that are on the books about illegal immigration were put in by President Obama. All that President Trump did was follow the laws that were put on by Obama. So now you have Biden and Harris importing illegals to create votes, because God forbid we would have to show our ID when we went to vote. God forbid we would take more control of these mail-in ballots. God forbid the rest of the states in this country would clean off their voter rolls. And I don't know who would benefit for sure. I don't have that fact, but based on what I do know and based on what I saw in the last election and based on talking to a friend of mine who was part of CSI, okay, and was in the Air Force for 26 years and been with CSI for 26 years, there's a lot of things going on that are not necessarily the way you want it. You'd like to see them as an American, okay? And I think that is also a major problem, okay? But I think we have a big issue coming up on, I think, Tuesday, which is, of course, the Port Authority strike. That we're going to find out if those people at the port are Democrats or Republicans, okay? Because they go on strike, it should destroy the Harris campaign, okay? Because, of course, you'll see an immediate impact of first of all, you'll see empty shelves at the stores because there'll be no goods coming in. This happened a few years ago. And then, of course, you will see prices rise because that is when some stores will gouge you, okay? Because, of course, it's a supply-demand issue. But I think that my biggest concern about this administration and about what's going on here is how dumb they actually are and how dumb the federal government is. And that takes both sides into consideration, okay? But there's a big battle going on right now, and I'm very familiar with it because from being a floor trader, we had to deal with something similar to this in the 80s, okay? And that is that they're now trying to tax the bookmaker apps, DraftKings and places like that, and they're trying to add a small tax. And of course, that small tax is going to be added on to you, the consumer, who uses those apps, and they're very big, which could create a lot of tax dollars. But the governments and the state governments are such pricks and thieves, they want more, okay? Well, what's really going to happen, what you've actually done and what you're effectively doing is bringing into business and supporting the illegal bookmaking and bringing back illegal bookmakers because they're not going to worry about the tax, okay? And they're not going to have to pass it on. And the states already tax way too much. It goes for the same for marijuana, which they refuse to federally legalize, which would bring in more tax coffers. Let's just keep torturing and penalizing the American citizens. And I think the last thing, just for the moment here, can you imagine that you're a prisoner and you are entitled to a sex change operation, okay, while you're a prisoner? Indiana last week passed that law, not the law, but they allowed it to happen. And of course, Kamala Harris in 2019 went to bat for that in California. Now, again, if you're a criminal, should you be entitled to have the taxpayers pay for you to have a gender change operation? I think not. I think that is ridiculous, but we'll get into that more in our commentary. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, September the 29th. We'll be right back with our market report after a break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? I hope everything's well. Hope you had a great week. And of course, as you know, I've got sponsors that come on the show, and we always talk about them. And of course, they're brokerage partners. I have many brokers, but these are two that I prefer and I think are really good. And I'm not telling you to switch. I'm telling you to check them out. Okay. TRADIER brokerage, $10 a month for equities. I mean, again, saves me $100,000 a year. Okay. Great service. They integrate with our automation and software. Want to check it out? They're scrolling on the side. And of course, Capital Trading Group is a partner with our letter direction and in many of our products and some of our brand new things that are coming out. And we have really found some great brand new things to bring to you. But check them out, Capital Trading Group. And we'll soon have a new gold sponsor, which will be coming up shortly. So that'll be great and exciting to share with you. And of course, our high school program. Listen, we just want to educate and help give us some financial literacy to our children, which we don't seem to do at this point in time. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 29th of September. And of course, markets had another up week. And not a total surprise. I mean, again, remember, we don't fight the trend. We're not looking to fight the trend. I think that you just got to, let the markets play and not play around with them. But in the meantime, we were long for most of the week until we were flat. Okay. And we would still be long mostly, but we will be looking to get short some of the things this week. You had an interesting spike up in volatility on Friday. But as officially as it is right now, okay, and starting with the four major indices, We are flat, the four major indices. We are going to reverse the Dow either tonight or tomorrow. Okay. And of course, the others look rest to come, but we were flat most week. But the official signal would be short the Dow and long the other three. In the dollar, which we don't trade, again, I just remind you, it's got nothing to do with the dollar. It's got everything to do with commission costs through New York. The dollar, we would be short, okay? And it looks like it wants to break down through par. The euro currency, we would be short, okay? We were flat most of the week. In the notes and bonds, which, as I mentioned in the opening, they are lower, and we would be short both of them now as they go up. The interest rates have gone up every day, meaning the bond futures have fallen every day. Okay, I'm sorry. Actually, the signal would be long, but we were flat them. Okay, Bitcoin has been charging higher and looked to be breaking out, which we are long, and had been long all week. Gold got hammered on Friday, but gold's been very powerful and made some all-time new highs again. We would be long gold, getting ready to short it. Silver is vacillating, but had a couple of big moves, and in the mid-30s, we would be long. Platinum, which we don't trade, but we would be long. Copper, we were long. And in the grain markets, we would be long across the board. And they finally look like they're starting to break out pretty solid. And I think it's pretty exciting, especially if you're a farmer or a producer. I think we got a pretty big run coming. I know there's a report tomorrow, but I think that report's priced in. I think we look for some pretty good moves. And of course, in the meats, I'm underwater in my cattle. I'm almost getting ready to get stopped out, but I'm still shorted. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. And of course, hogs, I'm still long, which have been working just fine. Natural gas has moved to the upside. We're long. Crude, we are long. In the sauce, which we no longer trade, but for those who do, we would be long all of them. Okay, and that would be cocoa, cotton, coffee, sugar, and OJ. Again, we don't trade them anymore, but we would be long them all. But again, markets, I think you have to be careful here. You got tomorrow, which could be the possible last window dressing. I think it might have been on Thursday, if you remember that big rally Thursday that tried to follow through Friday. But it could be one more rally tomorrow. Again, there could be 10 more rallies. Again, I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying that I think that the markets are extremely overbought. We've seen new highs and everything but now the NASDAQ and of course the Russell, but the Russell ain't getting new highs anytime soon. And I think that, again, you should expect a sell-off most likely this week. I'm not saying that's the end and we're going down. I'm saying that I would expect to see some at least retracement, if not the start of the next sell-off as we start the fourth quarter. So just be careful. Look, it's still slow. It's still time to be careful, and I wouldn't get too carried away. In the meantime, let's step out of here for a break. We'll come back with our commentary and, of course, our football picks. We'll be right back with more Bubba's Bottom Line. Okay, kids, well, I'm not going to go through the whole speech. I'm going to just tell you, TRADIER brokerage, $10 a month brokerage fees, Capital Trading Group, our partner, and a lot of products on the side, our high school program up on the bottom. And, of course, we'll have a new sponsor, a new gold sponsor starting this week. So be sure to tune in. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me and, of course, my commentary and football. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 29th of September. And here we are. And again, I'm so tired of all the bullshit rhetoric. Okay. I can't take it anymore. The lies that the comrade keeps telling us. And again, listen, I'm not defending that Trump never lies. Again, the switch over from what we've watched for 3.5 years. Okay. And of course, Harris's ability to want to allow criminals to go free, which we witnessed in San Francisco, her blaming Trump for the border, her letting sex changes go through. And of course, she was a big supporter of that in California in 2019. And to see this, for us to have to pay hard-earned tax dollars to have somebody have a sex change who's in jail makes absolutely no sense. Okay. And again, I go back to the lies of what we hear all the time. And her economic policies have been proved to be ridiculous and moronic and cannot work. And again, if you buy into it, hey, God bless. I can't tell you who to vote for. I can only give you facts of what I've witnessed and what I see. And again, anything that she said that has been any good about the economy are Trump's plans, but she wants to blame Trump for the border. Hey, you got to make your own decisions in life, but certainly this is a pretty clear and cut that and what we've seen that she's done to San Francisco, not for me. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, Top Bubba Horowitz, and of course we've got football, and excuse me, this week we like the Eagles once again. Okay, we like the we like the Browns. Okay, with the Raiders being on a personal strike, and we like the Bills. So we'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we will see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Day Update, but of course every Sunday with Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.